Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's new podcast episode. So, my name is Angeline Constantidou, and I am the founder and CEO of Let's Break the Silence with Angeline, where I share real life stories of women who have been battered and who have transitioned out of domestic violence, and they share their real life stories of how they moved into ownership of their lives and how they are changing the world. So, welcome to my new podcast episode. So, the title is, are you ready? Who am I? My awakening and unveiling of my next chapter. And I'm super, super excited to share a lot of, things that have been happening in the last couple of months. And which is why, for the time being, with my podcast, I am going to be rolling out 2 episodes a month every Wednesday morning, same time, 7 a.m. Eastern Time, live on my YouTube channel and also live on my Spotify. So if you haven't subscribed yet to my podcast, please like and subscribe to my podcast, Let's Break the Silence with Angeline. You can find me on Spotify, Google, Apple, and all the live streams. And please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is Let's Break the Silence with Angeline. And if you would like to stay in the now and want to continue to receive resources that will equip and empower you on your healing journey, I highly encourage you to subscribe to my newsletter, which rolls out every Friday evening. So please go to letsbreakthesilence.com and subscribe to my newsletter. Being that, guess what? Last week on Tuesday, Facebook went down, Instagram went down. So we have to be prepared. We need to be prepared. So that's why I highly recommend that you subscribe to my newsletter. Again, that is letsbreakthesilence.com, where you will be informed of the latest news, promotions, and also virtual events and live speaking events as well. So a lot of things that have happened to me in the last couple of months. I'm going to be very, very real, raw, and transparent with you. So, okay, first things first. How many of you can relate? How many of you here, and please type in the comments below, have you gone through an awakening? And have you woken up one day and realized that you may have had a breakdown? Or have you realized that now is the time to step up? If that is so, please type awakening in the comments below. I want to hear from each and every one of you, and that goes for the men too. So I had an awakening, and I'm going to share my story right now. So back in December of 2023, I was on a big high. I was invited to speak at a deep dive mastermind event by my mentor. His name is Jim Lutz, and I was thrilled. I was thrilled to share my story of how I came from the depths of despair to freedom and liberation from domestic violence. And I can tell you this, I was speaking in front of 75 people. It was amazing. I brought a special guest with me, a very special friend of mine who overcame domestic violence. And in that moment, when I was sharing my healing techniques, I actually shared some resources for women and men. So if you know someone who has gone through domestic violence, narcissistic abuse, there are resources that you can tap into. And it's the National Coalition of Domestic Violence. And I recall that the videographer who was there, she actually videotaped me for the it's for the entire speaking event, which was for me about 20 minutes. Because what I like to do is when I share my story, I just, everything just came out. Everything just came out. And there were people from all over the country and the world who attended this deep dive speaking event. And then I was invited to a special reception up in the balcony. We, of the penthouse, had a great time and everything. It was amazing. It was truly amazing. So when I returned from San Diego back to upstate New York to Saratoga Springs, you know how it is when you are on a big high, you feel like you're on a big high from a live event. Like your emotions are high, your mind is racing with everything that's been going on, because I met, some amazing people and leaders and coaches. When I came back 2 days later, I woke up and I said to myself, who am I? Why am I here? That was a moment. That was a moment that I thought that I was having a breakdown. Like, why am I even waking up? What is my purpose in waking up? What is going on here? And I'm going to be real with you. I mean, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. You know how it is, like when you're working and working and you're inspired. And I appreciate the fact that people come to me and they're inspired by my posts, my reels, my motivation and everything. The content that I put out there, I get so many compliments, and I get so many encouraging words to keep moving forward, keep doing what you're doing. Do the thing, grind it out and everything. But then, you know what? When I woke up that morning, I actually had an awakening and I was enlightened. It was a true awakening. So you're going to say, so let me know in the comments if you have ever experienced that. Meaning that people are, like while you're inspiring the world, all of a sudden now you feel that the whole world is crumbling. When people are encouraging you to move, to keep going, keep going, keep going. And then all of a sudden, crash. So I took a breather. I paused. And I started to do some inner reflecting. So I asked myself, how do I get into alignment with my true purpose? Here I am. I'm coming back from a speaking event. I'm returning from San Diego. Everything is like up, 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 up. And all of a sudden, boom. How do I deal with this? So a very good friend of mine who actually I spoke at her event last year, Get Out of Your Own Damn Way movement. My coach reached out to me and we had a conversation. So I was enlightened when we had this conversation, and I realized through the conversation that I had with her that there is power, meaning that I have the power and the will to make an impact on so many women, because so many women feel stuck today. Because we're always in this grind and hustle. And that's where I found myself last year, especially September, October, November, December. I found myself in that grind hustle. And listen, I don't condone it. It's just that sometimes in life we have to take a step back and reflect. So I did. So That requires, so for me, I have a mentor, and I surrounded myself with mentors and coaches who believed in me and encouraged me. And that requires what? Peeling back the layers and that protective shell, taking off the mask, and focusing on myself and self-love and self-love and self-healing, and peeling back that protective layer that where I thought I needed to be. And that means letting go of self-limiting beliefs, letting go of those beliefs that were haunting me, not only in my toxic relationship, but also in childhood. I had to let go of those self-limiting beliefs. I had to recognize that, I wasn't that person who was not going to graduate from college, and I did not graduate from college. I went to college, and while it was a good experience for me, I didn't feel that that was the right path for me. So I made a heroic move, and in 1985, I moved to New York, and I lived in Long Island, worked in my uncle's business. And then, I know a lot of you know my story of how I met this person who I thought was going to be the love of my life. I was 25, he was in his 40s. We were working in New York City, making six-figure income, whining and dining, the whole thing. But then later on, there was financial abuse, there was violence, there was narcissistic abuse, gaslighting, and he did everything that he could to put me down and admonish me, and I wasn't going to tolerate it. So finally, that was an awakening when I woke up that morning on May 11th of 2010, that I was going to write out a check for $5,000 and begin divorce proceedings. And that changed everything. That changed everything because I focused on myself and self-love and self-compassion and just giving myself grace, because that was one of the things that I had to do. So the same thing goes for today. So I gave myself in that time period from December until the end of January peace. I said, I need to give myself some self-love, compassion, give myself some grace and slow down, because I was doing all the things, doing all the things. So you can only do that for so long, and then guess what happens? You fall out of alignment and you go into burnout. And once I know the feeling. I feel for people who work two jobs. Um, and I know what that's like, because for one, in my 20s and 30s, and even when I was going to college, I was working. I still work, to this day. This year, January 5th came, and I celebrated a milestone birthday, my 60th birthday, all by myself. And you know what? I was okay with that. I was okay with it. And, 60 is the new 40. So I appreciate the compliments when you say I don't look 60 at all. So thank you. So anyways, what I had to do is, I'm reading my notes so I don't go off track. Okay. I had to rediscover her. I had to rediscover myself and what my true purpose is, and whether I want to keep my business or even continue with my podcast. I had to do a lot of things that a lot of people as business owners are not comfortable with. I had to actually let go of my virtual assistant. I had to let go of the podcast agency who was doing all my reels and postings. I cut back. I just completely cut back. I cut back, I recharged, and now I am back. And I am back. So, rediscovering her, it's having faith, trust, and belief in yourself. Because guess what? Especially for women who have gone through trauma, domestic violence, even someone who has gone through cancer, we have been conditioned not to trust ourselves. We have been conditioned not to trust ourselves. And that is huge. Because as we were growing up, our parents may have said something, and probably they said something to me too. And, some of those harsh words are, you're not going to make it. You're just going to be working a 9-to-5 job. Oh, you can work at the clinic and do all this and everything. But guess what? That's not who I am. That's not who I am. I am a woman who is making an impact on the world, who is making an impact on women's lives. There's not a day that goes by that a woman or man will reach out to me and they congratulate me and they tell me to keep going. So I had to do a reset. I had to reset myself because I was just going and going and going, flying to San Diego, going here, going there, coming back. And it was just too much. I reached my breaking point and the awakening happened. So, and this requires shifting beliefs. I had to shift my beliefs. When you shift your beliefs, you will shift your reality and go into transformation and transforming your life. So this requires taking ownership, meaning you take ownership, you surrender your pride and ego, and now you're going to start to focus on yourself and building yourself back up. And that's exactly what I did. That's exactly what I did. So, and I am proud of myself for taking that step. And there was no room for competition, meaning I am not going to waste my time comparing myself to other people, comparing myself to other leaders, because guess what? They had to go through the struggles in order to achieve greatness. So I know that for myself. I've been through a lot in my life, and I am going through a transition period right now because guess what? I don't know if I'm going to be living here in Saratoga. I've lived in Saratoga Springs for 15 years, and for me, and I am very transparent and real, I'm going to keep it real. I was reading a post this morning from a woman that a woman friend put up, and she lives overseas, and actually what she wrote actually resonated with me, meaning just packing up and just leaving. And that takes courage. It takes courage to start a new chapter. So I am working on that. And I'm not going to say too much about that right now, but I know that I am working on that, and I know what I have to do, and I know that I have to do what's right for me. I don't like moving. I do not like moving. I don't like packing, but guess what? All that work is going to pay off because I know that God is going to put me in a better place. God is the higher power. I am not religious. I believe in spirituality and energies. So wherever I decide to move, I don't know. I don't know yet. And you know what? Life is an adventure. And life is worth living. So it's time to live. It is time to live because I've seen too many of my friends, some of them have passed away. Some of my close family members are not here anymore. My mom passed away in February. It's like, I think it's 7 or 8 years, and time flies. Time is just going quickly. We're in daylight savings time now here. So now we have an extra hour of sunlight, and that's great. I mean, not that it takes me about a week to get used to get adjusted to the clock, but guess what? I am going to make a plan. I'm going to make a plan for myself. So focus on yourself, self-love. And when you start to shift your beliefs, everything else around you will shift, and the world of abundance will open up. So, what am I love to celebrate wins, so let me celebrate this win right now. So, the Change book series, Insights into Self-Empowerment, and I feel very happy and blessed to be a part of this amazing movement. And I wrote my chapter with Les Brown writing the foreword. So my picture is there with Les Brown on the front cover. And Les Brown inspired me during my transition out of domestic violence. So what I want to do is I'm going to read something that he wrote that resonated with me. Okay, it's going to be and this is the foreword right here. And by the way, you can buy the book on my website, which is letsbreakthesilence.com. So many of us spend at least a good part of our day going over internal dialogue. We relive past experiences, worry about the future, blame the outside world for our shortcomings, and criticize ourselves for not having all we want by this point in our lives. We do this both consciously and unconsciously. Even while we are listening to others, we aren't really fully present. Instead, we are rehearsing our answers, slipping back into yesterday, and worrying about tomorrow. We live in uncertain times, no doubt about it. We all feel we have minimum control over being able to change external circumstances, but we do have control over being able to change our internal environment, not only being able to see the truth behind a given situation, but also how we respond to it. And to get the best out of our most stressful times, we need to demand the best from ourselves. And so many people, and he talks about many feel the pain of unhappiness, and so many suffer from it daily, unaware that they can eliminate their suffering and find happiness by simply seeing the truth behind their unhappiness and making the right choices to change it. So, what he is saying here is so many people in this world are addicted to suffering. It's true. So many people are addicted to suffering. And I know that that was me for a long time. And what I had to do is, I know what I had to do. I had to leave a narcissistic abuse. I had to leave domestic violence. I had to leave my toxic marriage because it was a toxic marriage. And that takes courage. And I started a new chapter in Saratoga Springs on May 11th. It was actually in May of 2011. So I went through a 1-year transition, and I talk about this in my chapter. So the chapter, who is Angeline? And there it is. There's my bio, which is on page 145, and then I go into my story. Who is Angeline? I'm only going to read the first paragraph because this is something that I haven't written in my bio. So I was born and raised in Minnesota, worked in the family business. So I worked in my parents' business. They had a luncheonette and candy business, and worked in I worked like since I was 12 years of age. So I've always, worked for most of my, I've always been, inspired by my dad and my mom because they were entrepreneurs, and they immigrated from Greece to New York, and then they moved to Minnesota. So I worked in the family business and I went to college, yet I did not graduate. As you ready? I had a mission and vision far greater than what my parents projected. So I made the move to New York in 1985, and that was in a blizzard. So you see that? You can do anything that you set your mind to. And I can tell you this, I made a plan. And I know that my parents were not supportive at the time, even though I was living with my uncle. But guess what? We all have choices. What a beautiful thing. And that's it. That's all I have to say. And, I've been through a lot. You will read my story here in the chapter. So here's what I'm going to say here. It's like 4 pages. So let me just share with you what my mission and vision is. My mission is to empower and heal women, battered women, okay, worldwide, who have experienced domestic violence, providing them with the tools and resources and supporting their need to reclaim their lives and thrive. And I have already created an incredible community of women. We have 250 members, and that number is going to go to 1,000 members. And I have declared that, and that is going to happen by the end of 2024. Because guess what? I offer a community of support for healing and growth, and there are many, many resources there because we are there to break the silence and shatter the stigma and just break down those walls of self-limiting beliefs that have been holding us back for so long. So I am going to end this live right now, but what I want to say is this. If you would like to book a call with me, and I am going to do a little giveaway. So are you ready for this? So for those of you women who are going through a transition, for those who are looking for a reset, for those of you who are looking to heal from your, healing from trauma, healing from domestic violence, and you want to move into ownership and step into that power, because we all deserve greatness in our lives. I want you to book a call with me. So please go to letsbreakthesilence.com and book a call with me. And we are going to meet for 30 minutes, and I am going to, there's going to, I just want to meet and greet. I want to meet you. I want to know what your goals and aspirations are. Tell me your story, because it is important to share your story. And out of that, you will receive the free book. So when you book the call with me, you will receive this free book. And it is a paperback version, and I will order that for you. I will pay for it, and it will be shipped to you. Okay? So that is what I'm offering right now. So please book a call with me. And, let's dive in. Let's peel back the layers. Let's find out what you really want to do. What is it that you want to do with your life? And then after that, we will take it from there. Okay? So thank you so much for watching this live. And if you are watching the replay, please hashtag replay in the comments. Let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know if you feel inspired, empowered. I would love to have you book a call with me. You just go to my website at letsbreakthesilence.com. There is a button that says book a call. So just book the call with me. And on there, you will find I'm going to be launching some new resources very soon. So please stay tuned for that. That will be announced later this week in a special live broadcast. So, I mean, I could talk about this all day long, and this is what I'm super passionate about. So, I have rediscovered her, and I am ready to 10x my life. And I'm so happy and grateful that I was interviewed on the 5 a.m. Master podcast with one of the co-authors, published authors of the book series. And this Thursday at 6 p.m., I will be live with the special guest that I had on 2 weeks ago, the attorney. He has a podcast called thebailpost.com. So I will be interviewed. They asked me to be a special guest, which I'm really, really, really super happy and proud of being a special guest. So that will be Thursday night at 6 p.m. And then I don't know when they release their podcast, but it'll probably be released within the next couple of weeks. So I feel super happy and blessed. And one thing he did say when we were talking 2 weeks ago, when we were talking about bail reform, there's just so much inequity. And this is what he said. What we need to do, including myself, domestic violence advocates, myself, other women, what we need to do is go to our legislatures, and meaning travel. In my case, it would be to Albany, and to be the voice and to amplify our voice and break the silence, because domestic violence survivors deserve so much in their lives. They deserve to have these resources, a place to live. They just, money, so they can provide, because a lot of them are single moms and they provide for their children. So I am sick and tired of the injustice, because there are too many, males who are being released from prison way too early. And that is something that I am not going to, that's not something that to be tolerated. So we need to be the voice and go to our lawmakers, call your congressman, and really, really push for our rights, because I am a domestic violence advocate, and we have to amplify our voices more than ever and provide more resources for women who are survivors of domestic violence and trauma. So anyways, I'm going to end the broadcast now. Please book that call with me, and you will receive the free gift, the Change book. So book that call with me on my website. I'm super excited. More announcements will be coming at the end of this week. So I want to wish you all an amazing day, and have a great day or evening wherever you are.